Hi everyone, here's my Yami Bakura Duelist Kingdom deck. I wasn't sure if I would even want to make it, but I'm a fan of sort of putting things together and seeing what comes next. So his deck, to me, just seems kind of ridiculous. Um, you have 2,000 life points, you have 40 cards. You start with 5 cards in hand, and you can only attack with one monster per turn, and you can't attack directly. So I don't really see how it's possible to win against this deck if you sort of follow what he does. So he used 2 morphing jars. Most likely he had 3. I think these cards at the time were not limited. I might be wrong. I don't really remember. But anyway, two morphing jars, the original ones. Maneater Bug, White Magical Hat, Electric Lizard. I put Shadow Ghoul in here because in the final season, Thief King Bakura had Shadow Ghoul as one of his Ka monsters or his spirit monsters. So I thought about that and I said, this sort of compounds the theory that there's some sort of genius behind some of these little details. So in this deck, if you use almost like 3 of each of those cards, then you could be pretty much unstoppable in Duelist Kingdom era. So Morphing Jar sends your hand to the grave. Most likely you would dump 3 other monsters. The Maneater Bug is so weak it'll die in battle, and then you drop Shadow Ghoul and it has a bunch of attack points. And just like, what's her name, Rebecca, in the Duelist Kingdom era, even though that wasn't in the manga, they made that duel up. You can tell by the way they dueled. It's just not the same way as Duelist Kingdom, but Rebecca dumped her whole hand, basically, to power up Shadow Ghoul. And also had the combos with Millennium Shield, Ring of Magnetism, and Witch of the Black Forest, and all that stuff. Cannon Soldier. Mask of... what is this called? Masked Sorcerer. Crass Clown. Armed Ninja. Reaper of the Cards. Wall of Illusion. Dream Clown. Dragon Seeker. Versago the Destroyer, and this is a proxy for Witch of the Black Forest. I might also put Singing in here, it also makes sense. He used that in Battle City as well. Although for some reason it had an effect where you just drew a card. I put Dream the Clowns in here because, I didn't proxy it, but it's somewhere else. But I thought about having this be almost like a clown control, but I think that would be too good. And his cards were mainly used in the really early volume series. So, for instance, this is an original White Magical Hat, as you can see. So, when you sort of look at the volume series and then sort of trace the episodes as they go to their release dates, you start to see that, a majority of their cards come from a set or 2 before or around the release date of the episode. And they pre-plan this stuff in advance anyway, so about a year or so in advance. Sometimes more, sometimes less. Kazuki never finished the manga in time for the final season. That's why there were filler arcs in Yu-Gi-Oh, by the way. He finished the manga in 2004, and in the anime, it was finished in 2005, so... Anyway, so I also took from the tarot deck that he used against Pegasus. I put Dome of the Angel of Silence in here. It wasn't Pegasus's deck, it was Bakura's. He had some kind of cards in his breast pocket or something. I don't know if it was his deck or not, but it would make sense that it would be. I just don't have Mask of Darkness in here, or Happy Lover, because it would fit in here. You put Mask of Darkness on the board and you return your Dust Desserts and you win. Lady of Faith. I think she's a holy monster too. Anyway. I kind of didn't know what to do with most of it because I was teetering between well, on the edge of making this really broken or just trying to make it fair. So I put Ujioni in here. Cosmo Queen as like a one of for like a strong monster. Change of Heart, of course. Diane Keto, the Cure Master, because I think in this deck, oh, I had Dark Elf in here, and to attack with that costs 1,000 life points. But usually in the show, they reduce the cost by half or just wipe out the costs, so I don't know. I might take this out, or I mean, honestly, I didn't think I'd have these decks for this long, but contract with the Dark Master. I believe that's what it's called. So that summons Zork, and in Season 0, Zork was a monster on the D&D game of Yugi vs. Bakura, with the friends playing on the board. It's the same sort of thing they harken back to in the duel of Yugi versus Bakura, which is kind of cool. Share the Pain is a fun card because you can actually combo that with Last Will. So you can do that with a lot of stuff like Witch of the Black Forest and Sangan. Or if they have 2 defense monsters and you flip over your Maneater Bug, destroying one of their cards, you can play Share the Pain, sack your monster to sack their other face down too. Dark Energy for an extra boost, 300 attack and defense for Fiend. Dark Hole, Tribute to the Doomed. Polymerization. I think this is a Korean secret rare. It's pretty cool. Dispel, Sword of Deep-Seated, Sword of Dark Destruction, and Remove Trap. And for the traps, I just have 1 Just Desserts in here because you can really just end the game with this card. This is Call to the Grave, so when you flip it, any monster revived by Monster Reborn is sent to the grave. Or, is it this one? The earlier ones didn't have the symbols, so... Oh no, I think this is the continuous, and Monster Reborn cannot be activated. Something like that, yeah. Call of the Haunted. Castle Walls, that's a proxy. Negate attack, Robin Goblin, sort of fit. Reinforcements, gives the monster 500 extra attack points. Trap Hole. And then here are just some extras. My theory is that, well, it's not a theory, my sort of wish is that they all would have a ritual monster. And so I put Resurrection of Chakra in here just in the sideboard. Just like I think Weevil should have had Javelin Beetle as a ritual monster. Would have been cool. Beast of Talwar. Invitation to Dark Sleep, another white magical hat, another Maneater Bug, and a Big Eye. So, yeah, I mean, because there's no official rules for, no technical, like, workable rules for Duelist Kingdom, it's dependent upon the story, you know, people playing monsters and creatures and literally being active in the turn. You know, you can't just stall, which is what, you know, a lot of people do in reality. It's kind of hard to make these decks, but I mean, I just wanted to do it for the heck of it. So, you know, it sort of rings a bell to the original video games as well. So it's kind of fun, but yeah, none of his cards have any special attribute things. I'm not sure about Lady of Faith, but anyway, okay. Hope you enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thanks.